I mean, who was the one that went sort of, gave up the nursing first? Was it yourself or was it Helen?
Well, it wasn't. We weren't that far apart, really. I think it was because I started doing stand-up in 1986, but I didn't leave for 2 years because I couldn't afford to. And I think by 86, she'd headed off towards the acting profession in one way or another. So she just kind of beat me to it, really.
Right, okay. And was it something that you both discussed when you were sort of together, when in the nursing, or was it something you just found out after she'd done it, or?
No, we always used to talk about it.
Okay.
I mean, and we also had a friend who's a frustrated jazz singer, and she now is a jazz singer most of the time. So the fourth friend wanted to be an artist, and I'm afraid she never got there, but, she's retired now. She's doing it as a hobby, so there you go. In some ways, we kind of all moved towards what our secret ambitions were.
Yeah. And with the night in question in Swansea, what will it entail? Will it be like I know there's you and a few other people performing, but it will be, what will it entail, I guess is the question.
Well, it'll be, pretty much, the basis of it will be a stand-up show. So I'm going to compare it, and then Andy Robinson, who I tour with, who's great, will do a set, as will Noel James, who Helen used to absolutely love. And as well as that, we'll kind of have extra bits and pieces added in. I think, we'll have some special guests. Who knew Helen very well, who I think people would know from various things, that are on telly and films and what have you. Yeah. But I'm just not saying who they are just yet because...
It's okay, don't we?
Yeah, well, in case they can't come or they get a job at the last minute, do you know what I mean? I think it's very different for actors, really.
Yeah. I know there's people obviously it won't put it in print, but I know Eve Miles was a big fan of Helen's, and if
she absolutely loved her. Yeah, that's right. Yes, I have spoken to her, but I couldn't absolutely confirm one way or the other yet. Yeah,
I know how it works. I know she's doing Keeping Faith at the moment, season 3, but I know there's, like I say, I know what you say, it's like with acting, they can get a job at the last minute, can't they? So
exactly.
But no, I'm sure there'll be some people there that will, everyone's a big fan of Helen anyway. So, but for yourself, what's your favourite memory of Helen then, when you were nursing? Not after, when you were nursing.
Well, I think, when we were nursing, we weren't actually nurses together on the same ward because we were different years. So most of my memories of her are quite sort of unrepeatable ones from going out in the evening and getting extremely drunk and behaving very badly.
Right.
But I think sort of as a general rule, she was the one... which is why we're such close friends, who was always up for a bit of an adventure, and I think one thing that springs to mind that you might. This is just the sort of person she was. She was going out with a guy who she was really keen on, and was going to his sister's wedding and went to have a really extreme haircut, and it was terrible, and she was really worried how it would look to his family. But anyway, we just happened the day before to go and see a play about Edith Piaf in the theatre, and we didn't like it, so we left at half time. Yeah. And as she walked past this usher, and it wasn't his fault, but she was in a really bad mood for various reasons. She said, "Oh, we're leaving. We didn't like that. It was shit." Poor guy, But anyway, as we walked further on, he shouted out, "And so's your haircut." I felt so sorry for her, double whammy. She used to be in those sort of situations all the time. She just made me laugh.
Yeah, no, she sounds like a belle. I never got to meet her, which is a shame. But I knew she did Keeping Faith season 1. I think it might have been the last acting thing she did. But I know that it swept the awards at BAFTA Cymru. I was there with Eve. I know Eve and her husband. But she passed away before
I know.
Which is a shame.
I know.
Which is a shame. Didn't you write a play or something? It's for Edinburgh or something called Mental. Was that right? Was it in Edinburgh?
We did write a play together, and it kind of started off with two women sitting sort of in darkness having a chat, and it then became obvious that we were nurses on the night shift.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was an interesting exercise because, of course, like I was a comic and she's an actor, and actually, although people think that's interchangeable, it really isn't. And I set up a trick on the last night because there was a line in it where she said something like, "You wouldn't expect a man in a fucking bear costume to walk across the room." So I got a friend of mine to dress up as a bear, and when he walked across the stage, and she was so angry.
Oh, wow.
I just thought she'd laugh, but it really showed me the difference. How, actors are very professional and comedians are just
take the piss.
Children, really.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like that show, I mean, that may be a catalyst for something like Getting On, because, I mean, we all love Getting On. I mean, everyone does. And I guess, would that be sort of where Getting On came from, for men?
I think, to some extent, Mental was kind of a precursor of that, because we tried with it to sort of, for it to be kind of real, for the kind of language to be what you would hear normal people saying and that kind of thing. So, very much a part of it, I think.
Because that show's just pure genius. I mean, it'd be one of them shows I'd wish it would come back, if you could write a new series or something, I think it was amazing.
Well, I mean, the thing is that because Joe and Vicky were sort of equally responsible for it, it was just kind of difficult to manage how far we were going to go with it, really. And then they went off and did a thing about dogs, which I didn't want to do. I'd say I'm not keen on dogs. We've got a dog. I better not let anyone hear me say that. But, and then it just came to a point where it was kind of too late to do it again. But we were very proud of it.
And then also you did Damned as well, which I guess is on the lines of, say, I don't know, social working. I know it's not nursing, but it's not too far away.
No, absolutely, yeah. And that was a really good fun show to do as well.
That was hilarious, especially with Nitin. Nitin was my favourite character, I think.
Nitin was an absolute joy, and look what's happened to him.
I know.
And he's like a star.
I know.
I feel like he's my child sometimes.
Yeah.
I've provided him with a big showbiz career.
I know
that's totally not true and a bit pathetic, but because sometimes people are on theatre, because he was on EastEnders before that.
That's right, yeah.
And you don't know someone can do comedy, And when he came on and he was so brilliant, it was just great.
He's so hilarious. I mean, he's just drier than dry. I mean, I just think he was standing. I mean, you were brilliant as well. So was Alan. But him, he just.
Eldon as well. Easy City. God, there were so many fantastic people on that,
Yeah.
And Lolly, of course.
Yeah.
She's my child. I've sent out into the world as well.
Yeah, she's doing quite well, isn't she?
Doing amazingly, yeah.
So I met her about 3 or 4 months ago. She's doing really well. It's all down to you, Joe, isn't it? It's all down to you.
Yeah, totally.
They need to start giving you some commission, I guess.
Well, that's not going to happen. I think I'll just sit in my rocking chair, rocking viciously backwards and forwards and growling.
Yeah. Do you think then Damned will ever come back as well? Because I know that it was only like 2 years ago when it ended.
Damned?
Yeah.
No, they didn't recommission it. They said they were looking for something more youthful.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, it's a shame. But the thing is, there's so many. I mean, this is the one thing about Helen that I really don't know how she coped with it. I think actors, a lot of the time, their life is just a series of disappointments,
Yeah.
Because everybody, however well-known or not they are, gets rejected all the time if they're an actor. And I think that's a really hard thing to cope with. I mean, if you're a comic, you go out there on the stage when you're doing stand-up, and if they hate you, they hate you,
Yeah.
And that's something you have to learn to sort of work round. But I think as an actor, people are picked for various parts for such spurious reasons a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It's not anything to do with your ability. It's to do with you look right or whatever it might be,
Did Helen sort of, give you tips? Because obviously you've done a lot of acting yourself. Did Helen sort of give you some tips on how to deal with all the bullshit and all the rejection, if there ever was any rejection for yourself, acting-wise?
No, she didn't. But I didn't try for that many acting parts because I think I was just so. I would describe myself as like one of those actors that can play themselves but can't play anybody else.
Right. Okay.
There's a spectrum, isn't there, of actors, brilliant actors who inhabit a character and do the method and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just me all the time, really.
Yeah, it's Joe's. What's Joe's Joe?
Exactly.
So what have you got coming up in the next 12 months then? What have you got?
Well, I've just virtually finished the script for another film, so I'm hoping that's gonna go somewhere.
Okay.
That's based on a novel called The Radleys by Matt Haig.
Yeah, I know it, yeah.
Do you know it? Have you read it?
I haven't. I've read about 3 of Matt's books, but I've not read that one. It's meant to be really good.
It's a brilliant novel, really, really dark, and it's absolutely great. So,
right, okay.
Yeah, so there's that. I'm just about to finish a kind of short stand-up tour, so I'll be kind of extending that and hopefully doing more gigs. And just the other thing I really like doing is I like popping up on other people's shows because there's no stress involved. So I'm doing kind of shows like, hypothetical and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And kind of, having a nice time, hopefully.
You can just turn up and just be you and then just, I know what you mean. But,
I hope so.
But with your stand-up tour then, are you going to come to Wales on that one or?
Well, I will do. It's just a question. At the moment, we've just done about 20 gigs, and they were in kind of small theatres, and people do it very differently. And so I reckon I've got kind of, 30, 40 minutes of new stuff. So I just need another kind of 6 months to add a bit more to it, and then, definitely I will come back and properly tour it. Yeah,
because we as Welsh, we like a nice good night out. But somebody like yourself, you've got such a massive fan base, and people love Joe Brand, and we've missed you on the stage down here. So
well, that's really lovely to hear. I last toured in 2015, and very sadly, my little brother died while I was on tour.
Oh, sorry.
And it kind of really just put me off for ages.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know that. Sorry to hear that. Sorry.
No, well, thank you very much. No, I just felt like I needed a bit of a break, really, from it all. Yeah. And so this little tour this year, at the beginning of the year, it's kind of like dipping my toe back in the water.
Yeah. And I guess the response has been immense then, hasn't it, from the public?
Oh, it's been great. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Yeah, really nice.
Yeah. I mean, can I just go back to early doors? I mean, I know I've got another 5 minutes with you, so I want to use what I've got with you. What made you want to give up nursing? I know you've probably asked the question a million times before, but is there any, what was the catalyst for you, to start? Or I know you said you were nursing still, then when you were doing some stand-up, but what was it that made you realise that, actually, I'm going to give up and just go ahead with the comedian stuff?
Well, I think there was several reasons. One is I think life's relatively short.
Yeah.
And I think if you want to try different things, you should just go ahead and do them. And I always thought that I could make people laugh, but I wanted to see, whether I could or not. So there was that. There was also the fact, I think, that the job that I did in nursing was pretty stressful, and you do get burnout. I mean, I did it on and off for 10 years, and I think if you stay in that for too long, you either become a little bit kind of emotionally blunted about it all, or just that you don't really care anymore. And I saw that happen quite a lot, and I didn't want to become one of those people, so I wanted to have a change, really. So that was kind of what pushed me into it, I think.
It sounds like me. I worked in the NHS for 5 years. And,
what did you do?
I was an accountant, so I wasn't anything like yourself, with a proper job in the NHS. I was just the finance guy, and it was just draining, Joe, because I
bet that was stressful. The whole thing of money in the NHS is just a massive problem, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's not about making profit. It's about obviously making sure you spend it. But the money we used to waste, I could bore you all day, but you know yourself, the money that got
really imagine. And that must have made you feel terrible, didn't it?
It drove me over the edge. That's why I gave it up. And then I just went down the path of doing this journalism stuff, which is what I've been doing for the last three or 4 years now. So, I left the army, did this, did the accounting in the NHS, and then, the army was much better experience and life in safety than it was in the NHS mentally, because, the NHS just drove me crazy. It did.
I can imagine.
Especially dealing with that month end all the time and all the queries and. But anyway, I
quite a few lives then, haven't you?
Yes, I have, John.
It's a good thing, I really do.
Yeah, it is. You learn, life's there for, to learn. You only got one life and you've got to make yourself happy, and that's what I do. So I'm like, I do a bit of swimming coaching with special needs kids, which I do in my part, my spare time. And then I do the journalism stuff, so.
Oh, no, that sounds great.
Yeah, it does. It is good, it is. So, I forgot where I was going now. I was going to ask another question. You put me through my train of thought. Oh gosh, talking about myself then.
So we were talking about what made me want to leave.
Yeah.
So, those three reasons really. I'm glad I did as well. I mean, it's very different comedy. It's quite an individual, lonely thing sometimes, which is why I do panto occasionally, because I like working with a big group of people,
Yeah, I mean, but who makes you laugh then? I mean, who, comedian-wise, what sort of comedies make you laugh? And it's always a good question to ask a comedian like yourself.
Well, who makes me laugh? I like John Hegley, for example. He's always really made me laugh. I think Lee Mack is hilarious. I think Greg Davis is hilarious.
Yeah.
I was on with an act last night who I've known for years, called Barbara Nice. Do you know her?
I don't know the name, but I might know the face or something.
She basically plays a character of a kind of really out of control old woman.
Okay.
She's just hilarious. She made the crowd last night sort of pass her up to the front, like do crowd surfing.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Right up round her she's just very funny. I used to love Linda Smith. I thought Jeremy Hardy was very funny. So lots of people really, loads.
Oh, right. And with, it's this question I'll ask, a random question. What do you do when you're not sort of performing, or when you're not sort of working, or what do you do?
Do the bleeding housework.
Fair enough. Or walking the dog you don't like.
Well, that's not so bad. That's all right. No, well, my kids are 17 and 19 now, so they're kind of on their way.
Yeah.
To their own lives, but not quite out the door, if you know what I mean. So.
Yeah. I've got an 11-year-old, and it's just.
Have you got a boy or a girl?
A girl, unfortunately.
They're all right. I've got girls as well.
Oh, okay.
All right. They're great.
You reckon? She's a bloody nightmare sometimes.
I know, but that's a phase. Just remember, it's a phase.
I could turn about the clock until when she was 2 or 3 or 5. I'd give him a right hand for that. But at the moment, it's just girls, and she's beautiful. I love her to bits, but if you've got 2 girls, if it's a phase, I'll take it from you as it is just a phase, and she will grow to it, I hope. So when she gets to 16, 17, she may be better.
Yes, indeed. If not, send her to me. I'll have a word.
I'm sure you would do you'd do an amazing job. You would. You should do. I mean, it's a bit of a daft one, but if they ever did like a show where you were like as a nanny or something, went round into like and you sort of dealt with the kids or something. And
I think I might get a bit carried away with that.
Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you. I think I've had 20 minutes of your time anyway. I don't want to take too much up anyway. So. All
right. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for talking to me.
No, thank you, Joe. And good luck with the night. I'm probably going to come down and see you anyway on the 31st. So I'm sure I'll be able to make it down there. So.
Oh, well, that'd be great if you do. Come say hello, yeah?
Okay. All right, Joe. Yeah, wonderful.
All right.
Thank you. I'll see you soon. Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.